To confront that question, boys and girls. Am I a Snyder cultist? Am I part of the Snyder cult? Do I get the hood and the hidden number and the ring and the Masonic Lodge? I mean, I actually was there when this began. Yeah, so for those who don't know, big supporter of Mad Max. Have not been able to get to his stuff lately. Really great guy. He invited me a couple times to do his thing. Hopefully he'll invite me again. Basically what happened is we heard the Snyder Cut announcement live. And one of the biggest detractors at that time was Andy and Jody. They were both teaming up. So Andy had been denying there was anything, as had Jody. And they were like, we love Joss Whedon. We support Joss Whedon. Listen, I like Joss Whedon, but his version of Justice League was terrible. So anyway, they get into it. And Andy is shocked, but has to announce, yeah, the Snyder Cut is coming. Say no to the Snyder cult. And that became the thing to use against Snyder. Now, to be fair, John Campea, I don't think has ever used that technically, but he has attacked Snyder and his fans full on. So what's going on? Well, apparently Joker 2 is failing, and it's failing really bad. So at this point, literally James Gunn has like 7 or 8 flops under his direction. And I will give Jody this. Jody is saying that probably Superman Legacy will not be very good. Or whatever they're going to call it. He's like, yeah, it probably won't work. So he is pretty anti-Snyder, but he has sometimes been like, oh, okay, I think that's pretty reasonable. He's had some, to put it mildly, bad videos. He's had some good videos. He's done a lot of crazy racist stuff too. But all right, so what is his case? Apparently that the Snyder cult is taking too much enjoyment from Joker 2 failing.
The Joker 2, and the answer to that was no, which further like exemplifies that, he didn't make it. Todd Phillips came out and said he didn't make it, but James did say he gave notes. James did say he gave Todd Phillips notes, which means that it is possible that he did that Todd used some of those notes. It's a possibility. So Todd didn't say if he used the notes or not.
It is true that James Gunn did not have that much input with Joker 2, right? Todd had a lot of power, but it's simply not true to say he can't do anything because he did, right? Just minor spoilers for a few of the films, for Black Adam, Blue Beetle, and a few others. Listen, clearly The Rock was setting up a Superman, Shazam, and Black Adam crossover, and James Gunn nullified it. He could have kept that part of the universe. He could have put out a Black Adam Superman film, made tons of money, kept a little part of the Snyderverse open, but nope, they just erased it. And unlike a lot of the Snyder fans, I actually still support and defend The Flash and Blue Beetle. Now, those are very different films, and there's a lot of bad stuff in both of them, but for what they are, they were pretty decent. And I think I was not as brutal to Shazam 2 than other people. And I would actually draw that back. I think Shazam 2 is probably a lot worse than I thought, but it's okay-ish. So far, he has helped make barely okay sequels. Shazam 2, Aquaman 2. The best thing they put out is the Penguin. That's not really him too much, but, he is guiding that. So far, like, 7 flop. Some of them were okay, like his Suicide Squad was really good. So quality-wise, a few good, 1 great, but mainly flops. So the Snyder cult is to blame. Okay. Well, you gotta say it, though, that the Snyder Cut is still the best DCU film, like, by far. By far. I think the Penguin is very close. It is very near perfect, too, but they made a few mistakes there. So I'm not going to do the full review here. So, quality-wise, Gunn has technically one thing, like the Snyder Cut, but Snyder actually did have good box office. If you actually look at BVS and Man of Steel, they actually had pretty good box office. The only thing that was kind of, and it is Snyderverse technically, but again, they kicked Zack out, so let's be fair, is Aquaman was a massive hit, but that was really more Hamada when he took over. So it's a mixed record. I would agree that probably some Snyder fans are taking too much joy. And so Jody made a few good points, but of course he has to. He has to hit under the belt and bring in Snyder's family.
Who lie and say they care about Zack's dead daughter. By the way, it's not his real daughter. That was a foster kid. And I understand about stepdads and foster parents saying that's my son and my daughter. I'm all for that. I have a stepfather. But let's keep it a buck. There's a little bit of a difference. You didn't birth them. That's not your DNA. So the daughter that he lost was a foster child. It wasn't even his real daughter. I'm just talking about the facts.
He's referring to Zach's adopted Asian daughter, who the Snyder Cut is dedicated to. Yeah, the film is dedicated to her. And to be consistent, one of the reasons I don't like Mahler and his neo-Nazi friends is they did the same thing. They tried to very underhandedly attack Zach, right, in the course of his really long, stupid video on the Snyder Cut. And again, he had a few good points, but Mahler, for no reason, and his friends start attacking Zach personally. Personally. So the fact that the film is dedicated to his daughter never comes up. From my memory, Mahler never mentioned that. So these are very personal projects for Zach. If you don't like them, that's fine. He puts a lot of energy, time, and effort. Again, to be honest, they're mixed. I think Rebel Moon had a lot of good things, but it definitely has a lot of flaws. So I can stand back and say that, yeah, some films are better for me, some worse. You have to be also careful with the context. Like, his first film is really good, but it's his first film, so it will have a lot of problems. But, you know, it's going to be a mixed bag. What I don't get is if you don't like Snyder, that's fine. But even Campea is careful not to get too personal. He did insult Zach personally, which I don't think was a good idea. But why did Jody bring in his family? It just seems, I get it that some of the Snyder people are very enthusiastic, but that does not make them a cult. A cult would have an outright authoritarian leader. Zach is not that. It would have this very rigid pyramid scheme. It doesn't have that. You're not being forced to watch this stuff. Or there's a grand conspiracy to keep you in the Snyder cult. There's not. Again, my part of the fandom is I'm on Twitter actively. I support the stuff there. I support it in my own videos. My channel is getting a little bit bigger. Hopefully I'll get to 1,000. I have another channel that's 2,000. That's monetized. I'm going to try to put some Snyder stuff on there. But a lot of the Snyder stuff is on here and examining Kubrick. And got to be honest, some of those videos get good views. Some of them get like no more than 50 views. So if this is a hardcore cult controlling Hollywood, the numbers and the money don't reflect that. Believe me, I'd love to do just pro Snyder stuff all day and night and get paid tens of thousands of dollars. But it's not happening. So I don't know. I think just Jody's frustrated that he wants James Gunn to succeed so he can, quote, grift off the new DCU. But the fact is, it's just going to be very mixed. But a lot of people who were loyal to Snyder, like Truth and him, just changed. And now they want to cash in. But James Gunn is not producing enough good stuff. So the fandom is rejecting a lot of it. It's very weird, though, that he is now aligned with people like Critical Drinker, because Drinker praised the Snyder Cut when it came out, but now he's denouncing everything with Snyder. So it's not just, oh, they like Snyder. No, a lot of people hate Snyder, but they don't like what James Gunn is up to because he's not right-wing enough. He's not doing enough for them. He's not doing enough fan service. They're not picking the actors they want, so on and so forth. And again, he took the position and he made that choice. He could have had a mixed universe. He could have tried to integrate the universes, but he decided to say that part of the fandom, no, it's over. Okay, fine. Well, they're not obligated to still support you. They're not. So I want to work in Hollywood. I want to work for James Gunn. I've made that very clear in many videos, but you got to be honest, this is not exactly the prize great, like, MCU box office juggernaut that he's promised. It's just been a very mixed bag. And so for financially, it's been overwhelmingly a failure. And he even recently confirmed they only have 2 projects. They got Superman and Supergirl. They don't even have the Batman or Swamp Thing. Like, those are the ones I'm going to give a chance, but I'm not really impressed with Supergirl. It's not going the direction I want, and Superman is there. There's some good news. There is, but there's mostly bad news. So that's where we are. So if James Gunn wants more loyalty from the fans, he's got to make out better stuff. So far, the best thing they have is the Penguin. I'd recommend that. But again, Warner Brothers does a lot of stupid things, so I can't say sign up for HBO Max. But again, if you have the extra money and don't care about Snyder, yeah, the Penguin is for you. It's really good stuff. But is it enough to sustain all of what James Gunn is doing? I don't think so.